We are back at Evergreen Speedway, Home Track Heroes here, and this segment is going to be brought to you by one of the great sponsors here at Evergreen Speedway, and that's Bardol, located right here in Seattle. They manufacture some of the best automotive lubricants in the world, and is the choice of racers and champions because everything runs better with Bardol, and we thank them for being the sponsor of our drifting program like you saw last week. But right now we are just in the early stages of our 75-lap Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late Model event. Dario Reddick and Tyson Lang on the front row, Jeff Knight and Daniel Moore occupy the second row. And Tom, we're back underway.
You're right, that green flag's out. They head down into turn one. Tyson Lang on the outside. The question is, how long does he stay out there? It's harder on tires. He's decided, I think he's going to go to the bottom right here as they head down into turn three. His spotter says clear, inside clear. He'll go right down to the bottom and see what happens after that.
Boy, and there couldn't hardly put a piece of paper between the nose of the 18 of Tyson Lang and the back end of the 37 of Reddick there as they were in between 3 and 4. As Reddick got a really nice run. And it's interesting to see the two different lines that the 37 and the 18 are running. They both come out of turn number 4 a bit high and go wide across the start-finish line. Jeff Knight looking really sporty in that 70 car. Daniel Moore in the second spot. Greg Bennett in the 98 occupy the 5th spot. And Wyatt Gardner's going to have some pretty cool in-car camera shots coming up here during this race.
You're right, but a great battle for 3rd and 4th between Knight and Daniel Moore. I think Knight right now is hoping to burn some fuel. I started probably with 22 gallons of fuel. That car is a little evil right now, and Daniel Moore is just kind of sitting there waiting for him to make that mistake. You watch that car, sometimes he's down. It's sliding up the racetrack right there, pushed off of turn 4 a little bit, and Daniel Moore looking to the inside. Doesn't want to jump in there too hard. Now he's got him a little bit, puts a little, what is it, scratch. They sniff.
A little scratch, a little bit of a scratch. No harm, no foul. Those body panels bend. But up front, it is Dario Reddick, the young man in that 37 car. Right, his very first late model race of any kind that I'm aware of, and he is looking absolutely great. Tyson Lang getting a really good look. Just can't quite get the grip coming off of turn 2 to do anything with that 37 car as they come out of turn number 4 here. We're going to have 22 laps down out of 75 for the Speedway Chevrolet Pro Late models.
You mentioned those bodies bend a little bit. They are carbon fiber or fiberglass, so you're right. They will give a little bit. They'll crack a little bit. And you know what? The crews will have to work on them just a little harder this year. But a good battle developing for 3rd, 4th, and 5th between Daniel Moore, Jeff Knight, and I think that's Fitzpatrick back there.
It is, and I'm really impressed with how the top two, the Young Bucks, are just really pulling away. I mean, there's your 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there. Look at the difference between the top two, Reddick and Lang, as those cars are really hooked up, and these two are just kind of feeling each other out. We've got a long ways to go. We're going to have 50 laps once we get finish this lap here on the 3/8. But really impressed with that run by the 37 of Reddick and Tyson Lang. As Lang is going to take a look down on the inside. Boy, he thought he might have had a spot. If that thing just would have stuck just for about 2 more feet, he might have had a nice shot at him.
Right now, the spotters are talking to their drivers about saving tires, hit your marks, don't waste it. We've got 50 more laps to go. You got a driver who's starting to whine a little bit about the car. It's not doing what it wanted to do. And then, of course, that spotter is going to say, hey, look, it'll burn off.
Yep.
As the race goes along, they run nitrogen in the tires, not air, but nitrogen. But the temperature will bring the pressure up a little bit. So a lot of the times you're going, well, hey, listen, as soon as the tires get up, you'll be fine. Sometimes you just lie to them a little bit just to get them to shut up.
You know, and it's always interesting, too, Tom, how much information the driver wants to hear. Because if they're in a spot where they are right now with, and I'm sure probably the fathers of both Reddick and Lang are doing the spotting for their sons, right?
I don't think Nema spots for his.
Oh, really?
So, no, I don't. He was in the town.
We'll find out, but I'm sure Dario's father probably is, and that they want to make sure that their sons are safe. Obviously, they're putting them in some really good equipment. Both of them are. As we're going to finish lap number 29 here, coming up on lap number 30 out of 75. But talk about the drivers that really don't want to hear a lot of information. Whether they just tell you to shut up and let them go.
You're right, and every driver is different. A lot of them, they'll talk to you. You can talk to them all you want. They'll never talk back to you, unless they want to yip at you. A lot of drivers don't want to hear anything other than there's a wreck, and that sort of thing. You have to know your driver. You have to watch that race car, understand by watching that race car what your driver is thinking, what he's going through. Or sometimes they'll make a comment, especially under yellow. they'll do that. And then you got to kind of know what you need to do. I talked earlier about sometimes they're getting lazy. You start pushing that driver, so you kind of, as I said, go to the whip. You kind of chew on them a little bit, or they start, hey, you're starting to burn the tires up, settle down, that sort of thing. So you're a combination of a lot of people. I love spotting.
Right.
Most people hate it, and they always say you line up the pit crew, who wants to spot? And the one guy who doesn't step back, he's your spotter.
Yeah. You kind of see the leaders coming up on the 98 of Greg Bennett. Greg had a flat earlier in the race, flat right front, if I remember correctly. So that's why he is all the way in the back of the field. But yeah, very impressive here on lap number 34 as we're halfway through it. These cars coming up on some lap traffic.
You're right. Earlier we were talking about the legend cars running laps in the high 18-second bracket. These cars are running laps right now in the mid 17-second bracket. So, a second and a half quicker. These cars are a lot more handful. They've got more horsepower than the tires will probably like right now. So, and like I said, they're very, very difficult to see. You can see straight ahead fairly well. Out to the side, not at all.
Yeah.
They do have a mirror. A lot of the drivers that I work with, I don't like them to use the mirror. I want them looking straight ahead. I want them picking out that spot where they need to hit. I'll tell them what's going on behind them, and hopefully they're far enough out front that everything's way behind.
We were talking earlier about the relationship, and we were talking about our visit that we had earlier with Gary Lewis and Chuck Pickens. And Gary said he liked Chuck a lot because Chuck was a racer. He could tell. He was giving Gary an idea of what the car was doing. Sometimes they all can feel it as we see a good run coming out. Danny Moore down on the inside of Jeff Knight as we have a transfer spot there to put Daniel up in that third spot. But he likes a lot of information. He likes to be told what his car looks like.
No, you're
Lewis
right.
does.
And right now, Jeff Knight's spotter is saying your car doesn't look very good. He's having a hard time keeping it down on that white line, and that's really uncommon for
really
Jeff Knight's car. Jeff's car is normally, much, much better than it's running right now, and he's kind of moving his way back. He's now back to the fourth position behind Darrell Reddick, Tyson Lang, Daniel Moore, Jeff Knight, and Wyatt Gardner rounding out that top five.
Yeah,
I don't know much about that Wyatt Gardner, but I know he's come on the scene in the last couple of years, and he's doing a great job.
I met Wyatt Gardner when he came out about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. He started off in the mini stock division, and he had an AMC Pacer. All right, this is a shot we've been waiting for. Check this one out. Wyatt Gardner with a great in-car camera feed, and look at how much he's really not working the steering wheel there. As he goes around, oh no!
You put the kiss of death on him.
I did, Wyatt. I apologize. I really do. As the 91 and the 25 get spin, and they collect Wyatt Gardner here, as you see him getting around it. There's the 91 of Rob Dees. And the 25 car, and I'll find his name here. It's in here somewhere.
25 car is Andrew Link.
There we go. Thank you very much.
I think Andrew is from North Bend, and if I'm not mistaken, I know his father from the motorsports industry.
Well,
we
there
met
you
a number
go.
of years ago.
All right, we're going to get back to action here in just a few seconds here at Evergreen Speedway. Home track heroes here on CW11, and obviously a bit past halfway for our 75-lap race. And as the cars are getting lined up behind the pace car, kind of give us what you know. What is what makes up a pro late model?
Well, a pro late model is a purposely built chassis. That chassis is designed, and only thing it's ever done is be a race car in its life. It has, basically, there's not much that you can take out of your car and put into a race car. They are absolutely one of the best. But a pro late model is limited by the tire versus a super late model. They have a lot more options with the tires. And we're back to green flag.
We are back to green flag here. Lap 43 is what we're halfway through here on Home Track Heroes, the 3/8 mile course on a gorgeous day. Can't talk about that enough, how nice it was when this race was being held. You see Tyson Lang taking a look up on the outside. Daniel Moore really getting his nose in there too, as the top three are Reddick, Lang, and Daniel Moore.
And now Lang has to change his style a little bit. There for a while, he was out there working on the leader. He was on the outside working on. All of a sudden, his spotter says, looking inside, because Daniel Moore's caught up with him. So now he has to be aggressive on the car in front and defensive on the car behind him.
Yeah, and as you see the 7 of car getting kind of off the track there. Nice job getting it back underway as come across the start-finish line. But now that the top 2 is broken away, Tom had mentioned about how now Tyson can maybe change his style just a little bit, be the attacker as opposed to the defender. But Dario Reddick leading this thing from lap number 1 and doing a beautiful job in his first pro late model race. Really impressive by the run by that 37.
And Dario Reddick's used to running 30, 35 lap races.
Yeah.
And he's going, when this thing getting over, and he's only at lap 46 of 75. And you can imagine, I mean, I think this is his first race in a pro late model car ever.
It is.
And all he wants to see right now is white flag 1 to go and checkered. And his spotter's saying, 47 down, you've only got 28 to go. And he's going, oh my gosh.
You see the 12C car of Chad Fitzpatrick, and there's another family that has been out here at Evergreen Speedway. His father, Sean, ran on the Northwest Tour, has won some championships here at Evergreen Speedway back in the day. And like we talked about earlier, Chad and his family have really done a phenomenal job moving him up at the right time, getting it, you know, some guys, they'll take a year in a move-up class and think, well, I'm good enough, I can move on. And it really doesn't work out that way. They will admit, and they will be the first to admit, that moving up to the late model program has been a struggle for that team. But they keep coming out. They are excited about it. They're keeping good, positive attitudes. And Chad is just an absolute master at making sure people who help him out, he always lets them know about it. So pretty good to have the Fitzpatrick family out here.
And you're right. And late model racing is a very time-consuming
yeah.
sport. You need a pit crew who will devote themselves, 4 or 5 guys that'll be in the shop almost every night working on those things. A lot of body panel work, just keeping those things clean.
Mm-hmm.
It is a major job, and keeping decals on there with your sponsor, whether it's Grocery Outlet or whomever it might be. You want that car looking sharp. And when you look at like Tyson's car, you know, great graphics, J&R Truck Rentals
Mm-hmm.
and his dad's businesses on there and everything else. You need that thing. And so if you don't have people that are very, very dedicated and want to spend their nights in the shop, you're in big trouble.
And you also want to keep it that way so the people that do spend their money on their car, like they do on Chad Fitzpatrick's car, Jeff Nice, any of them out here, you want to make sure that thing looks good because you're representing those businesses as well.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, I always love bright, shiny race cars. I think they're easier to spot for. Maybe it's just old eyes or whatever, but it's kind of fun, seeing the looks of these cars. And as you say, there's not a lot there that you can take out of a regular passenger car and put in it. That's where how review mirrors actually came. They were put in race cars first, and then they ended up in the road. So it goes the other way once in a while.
Look
but
at you.
I know, huh? How about
with
that?
your information
Absolutely.
like you have. All right, there they are, the top 2 heading down the backstretch here. Lap 56 is what they're about ready to get finished off here as the 2 come out of turn number 4. Dario Reddick and a car length back to number 18 of Tyson Lang. Both these young men are really in for a great year of pro late model racing. And thanks so much again to Speedway Chevrolet for bringing it to us. And we also want to take and thank Bardall for bringing you this segment here on Home Track Heroes from Evergreen Speedway. Another gorgeous Saturday afternoon, and just keeping an eye out. The laps are winding down here. We've got 75 laps make up the distance for our first pro late model race in the history of Evergreen Speedway, too, if you stop and think about it, which is pretty cool. A couple of the young bucks showing you how this class is supposed to go.
With just 18 laps to go, Lane Sunholm was spotting for Tyson, is telling him it's time to go, and he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And as you start watching Reddick's car just a little bit off that white line, but Lang hasn't had the ability to stick it in there and leave it in there. And if he does, and Reddick comes down, they're both going to go around, and neither one of them will win today.
Now they get back up into some traffic as they go around the number 91 car of Rick Dees. They do that nice job by Rees and his spotter, letting them know the leaders are coming, as we are going to have 15 to go when they come across the start-finish line right now, as they're going to get ready to get around to 25 of Andrew Link. Andrew Link, his spotter, like Tom mentioned, they're letting them know that the leaders are coming, and they take up high so they can go. But I just am so impressed with the run by these 2 young men right here. This is so much fun to watch.
And as I said earlier, not a lot of experience in this division. Evergreen Speedway should be very excited about the future of pro late model racing, to have this many new people who maybe this is their very, very first race, interested in doing that. it speaks a lot about what's going on here and what the future looks like. Lang looking
Look
inside.
at that. Oh, he just got down a little too deep, and the 18 turns around here on lap number 63 as he makes contact with Reddick. And hard to say, don't, pick your car because that's the one you're going to go with. But that's just a racing contact deal right there. Tyson finally had an opportunity where he thought he could make that thing stick going down low, and got into the left rear corner of the 37.
You know the 37 car, his spotter, his team is saying, hey, you did nothing wrong. Lang's group is going, hey, you owe the 37 one. So, two different views of the same accident.
Exactly.
Just depends on what team you're on.
Crazy how that works. Okay, let's get him lined back up. And, boy, what a break for Daniel Moore in the number 16 as well. And Daniel and his team have they've been running late models for years out here. And good to see them get behind this pro late model class for 2020.
Now we're going to get a chance to see exactly what Mr. Lang is made out of. He's back there a long ways, only has 11 laps to go. I'm going to guess he's going to be on a mission.
I'll bet you he is. He's going to get the bit in the teeth, and off we go. A great start by the 37 of Reddick. And look at Daniel Moore sneaking away down on the inside there. We got Jeff Knight in the 70 car in the third spot. And we are counting yellow flag laps as for real, as we have got another car spun, 25, one more time, Andrew Link, under power there, obviously under power, as he has absolutely zero power. Oh, there he goes, he found it. Way to find your power, Andrew. And he will get back underway. But so far, just so impressed with the run of 37 of Reddick.
You absolutely have to be. That car is set up well. I don't know who did the setup on it. They know what they're doing, and they provide him a good piece. He's done a great job with it.
I want to know what's going on in the helmet in that kid's brain right now. I mean, we've got, let me do my quick math here. We've got 15, 18 laps to go for 75. No, I'm sorry. We got 8 laps to go. See, my math
You
is
skipped that
no
day
good.
at school. You
I
skipped
did.
that day.
I'm sorry about that.
It's Reddick, followed by Moore, Dawson Cox, Jeff Knight, Michael Brooks, Chad Fitzpatrick, Tyson Lang, Robin Fawcett, Andrew Link, and Rob Dees.
Got to give a shout out to Robin Fawcett in that 8 spot. We haven't hardly called his name at all, but he's in the top 10, running a clean race, staying out of trouble. And the seat time is everything in these things. Look at Daniel Moore now taking a look up on the outside as they go into turn number 3 here on our 3/8 course. Reddick hugging that bottom line, just washes up a little bit and gets in front of the 16. Here comes Jeff Knight taking a great look inside on the 7D car.
Oh, round goes Cox.
Come on, Dawson. Oh, let's see if he can get that thing fired back up so he can kind of stay on the lead lap. Dawson Cox, another every night. I think today may have been the first time in the entire season where he hasn't done double duty of some kind. And we don't know yet because we still have a street stock race coming up. We may see Dawson Cox in that, but again, it's just this has been a really impressive run so far by these guys.
Had a great future. I mean, he comes, Steve Cox, Mr. Excitement, won every big figure eight race here at Evergreen Speedway. Apple didn't fall far from the tree. His son going to do some things that maybe even Dad didn't do.
Yeah, here we go. We're getting him lined back up. 5 laps to go for Dario Reddick. Can he hang on? He's got a ton of experience alongside of him and behind him as well. As we see, trying to figure out where they did put Dawson Cox in the 7D car. That's a sharp-looking ride, too.
Can you imagine the heart rate of Dario
Oh,
right now?
my goodness.
Huh? That heart's trying to beat out of his chest. Nothing like your first win in a race car.
Nope. And let's see if he can pull it off as they come across. And we are down to 5 to go.
Whoa.
As we see Dawson with a huge hit into the Uke tire. And ouch.
That hit in a very vulnerable place for that race car. But because of the design of the frame, it is designed to do something, take some of that out. But that Uke tire, it did some damage right there. It won the battle of that crash.
And this gives us a chance to thank all of our track response crew that is with us each and every day out here at Evergreen Speedway. The Cascade Push Trucks, our track cleanup. Dawson obviously taking a look at, see if we can see who he's pointing at. It was Jeff Knight that he was looking at.
Yeah, I don't think Dawson's real happy.
So the we'll get back here as we're going to take a break. Coming up here, get this sorted out. Dawson is going to be taking a look at his car. Didn't like what he saw. We'll be back here, Home Track Heroes at Evergreen Speedway.